Hello, everyone, and welcome back to either the MyFootballWriter YouTube channel or the MyFootballWriter Spotify account, whichever way you're choosing to watch or listen to the newest instalment of the MFW podcast, brought to you by our wonderful sponsors, the Fat Cat and Canary Pub. It's episode 59. I'm Freddie Humphrey Wakefield, and I'm joined by Will Grant and Jack Wright, also known as NCFC Payne, on Twitter. And what a lovely, lovely week it was to be a Norwich fan. A brilliant win away at Hollywood Football Club, also known as Wrexham. Of course, Ryan Reynolds and Rob, whatever his name is, have been pumping money into that football team. But Jovon Makama was pumping the ball in the bottom left corner of a Conquo's net to get Norwich all 3 points. A massive away win for them. It really was Hollywood stuff. You couldn't write a script like it. Or maybe you could. See, I don't like that phrase. Don't know about you two, but couldn't write a script like it. You know, if you couldn't write a script in a football game, it'd be something like aliens invading the pitch and doing keepy-uppies and around the world. And I think you can probably write something about Makama scoring his 9th goal in 10 games or whatever it was. But anyway, before I really go off on one and our viewer retention takes a plummet, anyway, what's been going on with the pair of you in your lives? What have you been up to, maybe with the football or even outside of it? Because that's what's most important.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep a bit fit after quite a heavy Christmas in terms of food and drink wise. So I'm doing okay at that. Probably need to try and continue to be good. But moments when you see your team get massive 3 points away at a ground where you didn't think you probably would get anything from, that is always really, really great to see, really. That game must have been the longest 100 minutes of watching the game in a while, really, because I think Wrexham have always been quite notorious for scoring late goals throughout their EFL time, actually, really. So, yes, I'm relieved we got those 3 points, and the game felt like it went on for absolutely ever and ever. But I do want to say as well, though, obviously what happened in the second half, I hope the fan is all okay after what was quite an unfortunate circumstance there in the end. But yeah, so I hope that person is all good and well now and is recovering in a really good manner. But yeah, so my thoughts to them. But yeah, an absolutely great 3 points, and I'm trying to be good in a very healthy aspect too as well. So let's hope that continues. How about yourself, Jack?
I'm just going through my Christmas chocolate at the moment and all my sweets. I've got my wine gums with me. I was saying before the podcast, I like green and yellow, apart from these ones. Other confectionery is available. We're not part of the BBC. Maybe I don't need to say that, but I don't know. Other sweets are available. What else is new with me? I'm decorating my bathroom. Guess what colour? Green. Hey! But it's a nice, tasteful sage green, not like the beautiful green that goes along with the yellow that our curly-haired striker wears on his shirt. There is only one curly-haired striker in my eyes. I don't know about you, Freddie, but yes, he is an absolute star.
Yeah, he's not too bad, is he? That young boy up top. But if you want to know my thoughts on the other curly-haired Norwich striker, go back and watch my video reacting to not only that news, but also the Walsall Cup game. Norwich absolutely tore them apart. The golfing quality really showed in that game. But there was no golfing quality in Wrexham. That was a really quite a cagey one, I think is the best word to describe it. First half, yes, Norwich went ahead, could have gone 2-0 up. Ali Ahmed had a wonderful cameo. We'll move on to him at a later point. What a fantastic bit of business he looks like already. But of course, it could be a flash in the pan. You just don't know. But first half, Norwich, they went ahead. It was nice. Slimane scored his first goal for the club, and that's wonderful. I'm delighted for him because, of course, his Norwich tenure had started off really well. Then he was injured for a long time. He signed on a permanent deal, and he just was a lot worse than what he was on loan in terms of performances, but seems to have almost come a little bit more alive under Philippe Clement, playing as a number 10. Don't think I ever envisioned Anis Slimane being a number 10, but here we are, and he played it quite well against Wrexham. But first half was a bit poor. Norwich were on the back foot after going a goal up, but after the tragic incident in the crowd with a Wrexham fan. Of course, as Will said, and all of us here at MFW say the exact same. We really hope that the family and the individual affected is all okay and everything ends up as best as it can be for everyone concerned. But after that incident, Norwich were the better team. It's one of those. It's such a weird one, and it almost feels wrong to say that it changed the game, but because it did, that the long delay perhaps gave Philippe Clement and his players that extra time to talk over tactics and gun for it. Because after that, they were superb. I mean, if you've not seen their second goal, whether you're a Norwich fan or not, go and watch it, because it is absolutely gorgeous counter-attacking football. McLean with some outrageous skill on the edge of his own penalty area. He then makes a 50-yard run forward and slips through Makama, who just does what he's been doing over the last few weeks. What a sublime player and what a great talent that Norwich seem to have got on their hands. We will go on to him in a moment. But just overall, you both sort of touched there on how big the 3 points were. Of course, Norwich need 3 points in every game because they're in a relegation battle, whether people think that they're out of it or that they're in it, that they still are. It's nowhere near being out of the question if Norwich are going to stay up just yet, because they are still in genuine danger of relegation. But 3 points against a team who hadn't lost at home since September. I believe they'd won 4 on the spin as well. So again, Philippe Clement's form slayers got a huge win. And really, given Wrexham's home form, you couldn't ask for a much bigger win than that.
Yeah, it was a really, really important win. And I think when you consider also the teams around us as well, I think Portsmouth obviously won against Sheffield Wednesday. Oxford got a decent point against Bristol City, and Charlton won as well. So although Norwich probably didn't go into the game to expect to win, well, at least the fans didn't probably think that that mindset. It was really, really critical for us, I think, as well, because although every team plays each other twice in the league, it just felt that Norwich had to try and keep within touch and distance of the teams in and around us as well. Because you look at Portsmouth, they've got a few games in hand as well, and one of them is against Charlton. So Norwich have to try and keep within touch with them, I feel, because it's a really, really tough run in these few games coming up as well. West Brom, I know they are going through a bad spell of form, but I think at home this season they have been pretty good. And as well as that, the next game is Coventry away as well. So that's also Coventry home, sorry. So that is 2 really difficult games coming up, and you almost felt like Norwich had to win probably 1 or 2 of those just to try and just keep us within parity, really. I still think a win against Coventry or West Brom will be very, very big for us as well, because there's been many scenarios now where I felt like we've had real opportunity to try and get out of the relegation zone, but we just can't seem to take advantage of that, and we always seem to slip up. I think we're absolutely great at responding back from quite bad defeats in terms of annoying close games, if that makes sense. But I just think we need to be better and much more ruthless in terms of seizing on those moments of opportunity as well. Yeah, and the second goal for me really just showcased that how much of pioneers that Makama and McLean have been through this bad season, really. Those are the 2 players who are constantly stepping up during times of adversity. And I think it was quite fitting that both of them got their moment and got their applause for a really, really good sequence of play, really. And that's got to try and continue for the rest of the season now. It will just be our luck that one of those guys picks up an injury, as that's how Norwich works as a club. It feels like we're always one crisis away from something bad happening. But right now, we've got to just keep trying to take advantage of this situation. There's players in form. We've scored 7 goals in the last 2 games, albeit 5 against a League Two side. But I think that does do real wonders for confidence, and I think that's really important as well. West Brom are in some really, really bad form, but the real challenge for Norwich is that can they try and come up and conjure win against a manager whose style of play is probably going to be quite unpredictable. I watched West Brom against Middlesbrough on Friday night. They were nothing special in that regard, but one thing which I think is their main idea is that they will try and counter-attack you. And I think if you were to tell or ask any Norwich fan this season what is our biggest weakness, I think it is defending counter-attacks. So that's going to be a very, very interesting game scenario to watch and observe during midweek. But for now, that Wrexham game in isolation, that's a really, really big win. And I don't think many teams in and around us go to Wrexham and win that game, quite frankly, as well. So that's all good and really encouraging. But it's time now for Norwich to really take an opportunity and to try and build a run, because they actually haven't showcased that this season. And I think that's got to become a reality, because sooner rather than later, teams in and around us will pick up 3 or 4 games of winning spells. So it's important that Norwich can try and find that spark sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think it's another away game where we've had a huge chunk of added time right at the end. What was it? 8 minutes against Wrexham, 9 minutes against QPR. I don't know about you two, but I had heart attacks in both of the ends of those games. How on earth is that amount of time added on in both games? There was a few stoppages, obviously the big stoppage, but that didn't really count against a team that, yeah, they did give us an onslaught right at the end. But it's so difficult to know with Norwich whether we're going to do the very Norwich thing of conceding very, very late on, as we've continuously done, or actually kind of held out and showed a bit of nous. Luckily, in this situation, we had a forward who, got a decisive goal and turned what could have been 1 point into 3 points. And I think that is the difference at kind of this point in the season compared to Manning Ball. I think you mentioned the haunted injury word, Will. We're not in a crisis kind of at the moment. The only big one really that's annoyed me is Mahovo's now long-term injury, which if we've only got Cresceni and Schlupp, who seemingly nowhere to be seen, perhaps that's a left back on loan just to kind of patch that gap as an idea. But I think, again, looking at this game, the excuse that we always had under Manning Ball was, we don't have a full strength team. And especially during Clement's earlier games, if you remember back to Watford away, we were having to play Tony Springett at left back. That period of the season is now gone. So much so that we were able to start Ali Ahmed and then later on bring on Papa Diallo. That really does tell you where our strength in depth is right now. It has massively improved, and shock horror, we are massively improving in performances. We actually have players in positions that they're comfortable in. We're not having to bring Jack Stacey on to play him at left wing anymore. We actually have players who can come on and make a difference. And yeah, it's showing it. Big shout out to Vlad. Save of the season, arguably. Everyone's calling it. I don't know. He just kind of falls on the ball like a goalkeeper should. It looks good. It's very aesthetically. No, he didn't have to move really far. He didn't have to spring really. He kind of fell on it and stopped it. But okay, good save. Crazy goalkeeper. Again, a player who I really can't pin down. Like, is he absolutely atrocious or is he Premier League quality? I really have no idea whatsoever. But Anis Ben Slimani solving our number 10 problem. Who would have seen that coming? I don't think it is his first goal for the club, because I think he scored against Plymouth last season.
Oh, yes, he did.
It's the first goal of this season, I'll give you that. But a player who has improved under Philippe Clement, because clearly, he obviously has improved because he wasn't getting in the team under Manning. Makama has obviously massively improved. Pelle Matson massively improved. The list of players who Clement has himself improved is extensive, and that's amazing to see. Again, we're still in this relegation fight. It really does show you how deep Manning has put us in this problem, but it looks a lot more optimistic now, I'd say.
No, it almost certainly does. Speaking of Liam Manning, I believe he's touted to be the next Huddersfield Town manager. So, I know people in Yorkshire are very honest with their words. So it's going to be interesting to see what they've got to say about the former Norwich City boss. But anyway, enough about him. Let's talk about Jovon Makama, because it's very difficult not to. This boy, I'm running out of words to describe him. He just is such a great player, just such an old school centre forward. He reminds me of a player that should have been playing in the mid 2000s, just a big, physical, strong player who uses his strength well, plays with his back to goal, holds up the ball, holds off the defender, turns, shoots, goal. There's so many of his goals have been of that ilk, of having his back to goal, pinning up the defender, just turns, shoots, and shock horror, it's gone in the net. But his goal against Wrexham, a lovely finish from the angle following the build-up, because he had a defender coming over to try and put him off, maybe make a tackle, and he still just hits it so low and hard into the bottom left. But just, how do you even sum him up? Because he's ridiculous at the moment. 10 goals in the Championship. He's one off the Golden Boot. Norwich are 22nd in the league. They've scored 30 goals this season, and Makama has 10 of them. This was a player who was in League One last season and scored 7 goals in League One, mainly playing as a winger for Lincoln. He's now arguably Norwich's best striker, and albeit maybe this is recency bias sneaking in, which is fair enough because it happens a lot in football, but you could maybe start making a point that he's arguably the best striker in the league. But what do you two make of that? What's the brief summarization of this wonderful, wonderful man?
Yeah, well, firstly, as you say, Freddie, if you were to take the Norwich starting lineup against Wrexham on Saturday, it's only Makama that has scored this season before. Obviously, Slimani did score in the game, so that makes 2 out of the 11 which have scored this season for us in the league. So it is just crazy how, almost to an extent, how he's kind of carrying us out of this situation, really. And I think, weirdly enough, I don't think he was probably at his best level against Wrexham overall, but that almost makes me more encouraged to an extent, actually, when the game's quite quiet. He's almost find it hard to actually settle in games and try and be effective, but he can almost conjure a goal out of nothing and score such a decisive goal. And that also, for me, shows that he's got some real mental toughness to him as well to try and overcome being quite isolated most of the game, but knowing that you've got that one moment of quality when you can help your team out. And I think that was the bit where I was most encouraged by with Jovon at the weekend as well. And for me, now the next challenge for him is, can he try and add to that against West Brom and again against Coventry, try and score in each of these next 2 games and make it a real good three block game period for us, really, because I think that's the next level for Joe. And I feel like he's really effective in patches of games, but I feel like he could be so much better still and be so much more effective across a 90-minute period. I mean, as well as that, I'm not best striker in the league. Maybe a bit too early to comment that, but no one can argue he's currently one of the most informed strikers in the league, and that's an absolute fact. He's brilliant. And I really didn't actually expect it as well at the start of the season. Really, I thought he'd be a real handful, but I thought maybe there might be a bit of rawness in front of goal. But that is the polar opposite. Like, this is what I've been so impressed by him since August. Really, he's just got that knack of scoring goals and getting into those right places as well. And I think I heard some Lincoln fans actually say to me before this season as well that finishing probably isn't one of his major kind of attributes. So what we've actually got to do there is say a real fair play as well to the coaching team who've obviously done so much work with him as well. And that has paid dividends because right now, Joe Makama is carrying us out of this relegation battle single-handedly because I don't think Norwich have played fantastically this season at all by any means. But what we've done in some certain moments of games this season is had really good important moments, and most of those moments have been inspired by Makama, and that's got to continue as well. If the thing is though, Norwich are in a situation where you feel like they need him and they need his goal, but you don't kind of want to put too much pressure on him, really, because he's still so young and there's still much room for growth as well. So I'm just in the phase right now where I'm really enjoying his performances, and long may it continue for him as well. And I just hope that none of this Sargent drama is affect him in any way as well. And hopefully he can almost flourish with that extra sense of responsibility.
I think the only annoying thing about Makama's good form is that Ben Napper will look at it as a win for him. Like, oh, guys, you shouldn't be protesting outside the director's box. Look what I signed you. Look at my prowess of being a sporting director. Okay, fair play, Ben. You got one signing, correct? But yeah, what do you do to stop Makama? He's quick, he's strong, he's a really now clinical finisher. We kind of said earlier in the season that he looked quite clumsy on the ball. Now he doesn't. He looks really assured and confident. And I think, yeah, when you're going into this relegation fight, you need players bang in form. Do Portsmouth have a player bang in form? Not particularly. Do Blackburn have a player in form? Not particularly. Do Charlton? Not really. West Brom, again, not really. We have that as our kind of secret weapon. Obviously, look at players like Matson sort of flying under the radar as well. Obviously, performances of the likes of McConville as well. We have players who are in form, but those other players know that they can kind of up their game because there's a little bit more confidence. There's a little bit more kind of, okay, Jovon, we got him up front. It's fine. Like, we're good. We can flourish a little bit more. We don't need to be cagey and, a little bit anxious on the ball. We can actually go forward and play as well as we can. There's obviously conversations about what even like is his value now. You're looking at a young player in the Championship, English forward. Their transfer value must sort of skyrocket. I'll tell you one thing, Jovon. Just if your agent texts you, just don't reply. Just and don't think about texting the manager. It's not a good move. Just don't do it. And yeah, Will, you touched on it. We had a big debate as to whether the Josh versus Jovon, that's a fun little debate. How are we going to sort this out? Well, Jovon's kind of taken it by the scruff of the neck and been like, all right, I'll be the proper number 9, and I'll put them in the back of the net, and you can just forget about that other guy, quite frankly. So, yeah, I mean, he's just such an incredible young guy. I think even under Manning, you saw the glimpses of quality coming through that terrible football. It's almost certain that he's not a right winger. Let's kind of put that to bed now. He is a certified centre forward, and he's the new Grant Holt.
No, excuse me. It's a big thing to say, but I think the way in which he plays reminds me of Grant Holt. As I mentioned just before you two said your pieces there, just the way he plays, the similarities are staggering in the way in which they both play and sort of put themselves about in the opposition's penalty area. They're just so intelligent, the pair of them, especially Makama, because he's 21. We can't forget this. He's 21. This is his first year playing in the Championship. His only other senior seasons were last season with Lincoln, where he was playing as a right-sided winger, which, as us three all know, and you can see it with how he played against Stoke when Sargent was actually put up front. He's uncomfortable there. That isn't his position. Just a player who is 6'5", probably 6'7" with the afro on his head. You should not be playing him wide. You look at his frame as well. He's a big lad. You do not play a player like that on the wing. That just doesn't work. But he's just truly fantastic. For someone who was playing on loan at Brackley Town in the National League North 2 seasons ago, to now be in the Championship with double-digit goals, one off the Golden Boot, it's ridiculous. The fact Norwich got him for, $1 million? Just over £1 million. Fair play to Ben Napper. I'll let him have that one because, right now, you could easily add another naught on that 1 million and you probably still wouldn't sell Makama for that sort of money. So that's a great bit of business. But we'll go on to another player who looks like maybe a good little bit of business. Ali Ahmed came in for just over £1 million. If you wanted to know more about the transfer deal and everything, I did a video on it before he even joined. So you can go and watch that and hear some stuff. But if you still don't know about him, but I'm sure all Norwich fans do now, because what a cameo from the Canadian international. Hit the crossbar and also set up Slimane's goal. Just looks busy. And I like that. He looks like a proper winger. Norwich don't, in my opinion, I don't know about you two, I don't think Norwich have a player who is a proper old school winger, just someone who gets their head down and just runs at the defender, beats them, puts in a cross, puts in a pass, and shock horror, Ali Ahmed ran at a defender, put a pass in the box, Slimane tapped it in. Football can be a really easy game sometimes, and I love it when it is because it's fantastic. But no, I thought looked very sharp, busy player, and I like a little bit of that. I like a bit of a workhorse in a team. As you both know, I said last season, the one thing I love of any team is to see them thrive. And Ali Ahmed, who wasn't even deemed fit enough to play against Walsall, was chucked in the starting 11. Bit of a shock at first, but the double A, as we'll call him, the battery, we could nickname him, the double A, Ali Ahmed. Jesus Christ, we have so much nonsense on here. It's brilliant. We're calling Ali Ahmed the battery after a 60-minute cameo. But no, he was a bit like the AA repair service. He's come in a time when Norwich needs some need, and he's come in and he's improving things, and he's getting us back on the road to championship survival. So anyhow, I'll stop waffling on because he's only played about 60 minutes in the championship. But a good performance from Ahmed. But what did you two make of him? Because I liked his performance. I'm encouraged by what I saw, considering as well he hadn't played in a couple of weeks because the MLS ended a lot earlier than the championship, for instance. But he hadn't played in a while. But he looks sharp. He looks busy.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to top your comparisons, Freddie, that's for sure. But yeah, he was fantastic and he was lively as well. And the thing which I liked about his performance as well is that he marinated his fantastic speed and his fantastic nimbleness and like his driven ability with genuine quality. And that was showcased in the Slimane goal as well. It feels like with Schwartau, I think he was played to a pretty good level on the left-hand side. But he just lacked that bit of extra speed, which I think probably did affect us, to be honest with you as well. And I think as well, Schwartau lacked that bit of end product in the final third. But although the sample size at the minute is so small with Ahmed, he only played 45 minutes, it was such a real promising start, really. And that is the profile of player which Norwich have been dying out for on that left-hand side, sorry. So, yeah, I was really impressed with that. And just, it's really important as well that you've got a player that can use his quality to a really good effect, as well as showcasing those real sharp speed abilities as well. So yeah, really encouraged. Hopefully we could just see more and more of him, and he can build up his fitness levels as well, and he can turn a first half performance into 60 minutes and then 90 minutes as well, because we're going to need him, and we're also going to need everyone as well until now to the rest of the season as well. So yeah, I was really encouraged by his performance, and long may it continue.
He is like maple syrup, sweet, and I can't think of any other comparison to maple syrup. I just wanted to make a Canadian maple syrup reference. Canada is the superior North American country. That's more or less confirmed. Vancouver is the best city, not like Toronto. Vancouver all the way. To all our Canadian viewers, hi. I wonder if you have any fat cats in Canada. That's like mountain lions. They're fat cats. This podcast is sponsored by the Fat Cat and Canary. Please go and enjoy. Anyway, that's my sponsor segment done. Ali Ahmed, the battery. I like the battery, because he's got some power about him. He's zippy. He's electric. If you lick him, it tastes horrible.
That's a yellow. That's a yellow. He's gone too far there. He's tried to match. He's tried to match.
Yeah, I can't be Freddie. I can't be Freddie.
I don't know if anyone's ever licked Ali Ahmed, but if they have, did he taste zippy and electric?
Can I get on to my point?
Yes.
I've lost my point. No, I think I agree with William. We've been dying for someone with pace on the wing. I completely agree that Schwartau is a very good makeshift winger. But his debut very much reminded me of the Diallo debut at Watford in the Cup that we watched with our own eyes, Frederick, where he just looked Ballon d'Or worthy every time he got the ball. Just really enjoyed attacking space, was really clinical with his passing. It really did mirror that, and I hope it doesn't go the same way in terms of Diallo, in terms of his injury. But I like the fact that the defender almost for Wrexham, I can't remember which defender it was, maybe Clement, thought that he would go to the byline, but instead, no, he just sort of cut the ball through the box straight to Slimani. And it was very interesting how Phil Parkinson tactically responded, putting sort of Kabore sort of much tighter to him. I think Kabore had a very, very good game for Wrexham, as he did in the home game as well. Very good player, very quite annoying player. But we won. Who cares? I think in terms of the fitness side, once he gets up to speed, he will get assists for us. I have no doubt he'll get goals for us because he's got confidence. But maybe we shouldn't lick him. And if anyone's watching, please don't lick batteries either.
Please don't. Whatever you do, be responsible with your batteries. Just put them in the TV remote, put them in your Xbox or PlayStation controller. Don't put them near your mouth, please. Leave it. Just leave them be. Put them on the side and just let them do their thing. Don't touch your double A's or your triple A's or what's like the big square one? Is that a D battery?
I don't know. I'll check my menu.
All right. No, it's one of them. But anyway, no, enough about. That's funny. I've got a battery right next to it. It's not a double A, but there's a battery next to me. But no, it's not the double A. Or what did you put on Twitter, Jack, on your account? It was like AAA or something like that. You made a little pun on the jokes. I think, don't Canadians say A, like sort of stereotypically? Yeah, he's nodding his head. So I guess so.
Hey, yeah, that's what the Canadians do, and they apologise all the time. Hi again to our Canadian viewers. I love you.
Lovely country. It's where Ryan Reynolds is from. That's probably where he's doing his weekly cry because Wrexham have lost, and he's got to tell it to the Disney audience. As Jack just signals a little crying face there. But anyway, you both mentioned Mr. Sargent. We have to address it because it's such a big deal. I again, to sort of promote prior videos on the channel, I did a reaction bit to it when Norwich beat Walsall and the news when it came out about Sargent. But just with the pair of you and sort of getting your thoughts, because I branded it as disrespectful and that it's unprofessional, really, because I even said in the video, if you did that in your genuine job, you'd lose your job on the spot. And effectively, that Sargent has nearly lost his job because he's been demoted to train with the under-21s. Philippe Clement has made it clear he's not going to be selected. He will not be training with the first team because there is no devotion from him. And Mike Atanasio put out a tweet after Norwich won at Wrexham talking about what a great performance from this devoted bunch of players, or committed bunch of players, I think were his words. So stirring the pot a little bit, but it's fair enough because those players are the ones who care enough to play and not make themselves unavailable because Toronto want to sign them for $18 million. But it's the same thing as well. It's a weird one because it feels like Norwich maybe should sell Sargent for that sort of money, in my opinion, because he's not been in the best form, and it ends this saga and it gets him away from a situation the club don't want and a situation he doesn't want. But the Philippe Clement's words were, if an offer was sort of like a silly offer, I think he said, if 100 million came in, we just take it and sell him straight away. But it obviously doesn't mean that fully. He means if a bid comes in where they have to take it, they will, and Sargent will leave. But what do you make of it? Because I think it's the fair call from Clement to do, because you don't want that environment around everyone else, and because Norwich are on the up a little bit, it makes sense because you don't need that affecting you. But yeah, what do you make of it with Sargent being put in the under 21s, but as well, what is the ideal solution here? Really, do you want him to apologise, or do you want him gone? So, just what do you think can be done to avoid this mess a little bit further?
Well, I think it was really actually important that Norwich took a real strong stance in this, as we've seen quite a few case studies now for me, especially in the last 18 months, where player power has just seemed to have took precedence over Norwich City, our actual wonderful football club, and players have got their moves in the end. And I just think this firm message should hopefully alert players that if you do behave like this again, like, you will have the similar circumstances and similar punishments as well. And I've been really impressed by how Clement and Co have dealt with the situation. Albeit I do find it extremely sad as well. This is a player who, in the last 2 seasons, has handled himself terrifically, added interest from other clubs, but it just feels like this time and this stage of his career almost, where he's got a home World Cup, he won, and it's clear that he wants to move back home with his family back to America as well. It just almost feels like this is the last resort for Sargent. He's probably thinking to himself in his head that I've tried to be the good guy, I've tried to be patient, and I've tried to allow the club to do their thing, but they haven't found an agreement at all, really, and that is quite a sad thing, really. How almost a player which Norwich have really developed and have been patient with, and the fans have been patient with in the end as well, and for it all of a sudden to become a bit toxic, it's quite sad for me, really, as well. But I was actually thinking for myself the other day as well. Imagine if Makama and Visgarden weren't scoring goals, and imagine if this situation was playing out where Sargent was firing them in still, and he started to kick up a fuss after that, then I really would have been worried about this potential situation. So I think almost Norwich are a bit blessed, really, that Makama is really fighting at the minute. Otherwise, this situation would have become a huge and a really horrid call, ready for an effort to make. But as well as that, like, Norwich can also say as well that Sarge had the chance to leave last time as well. A bid came in by Wolfsburg, the club accepted it, and he could have gone then, but Sargent said no. So arguably Norwich have literally sanctioned a move for him previously, but he hasn't taken it. So for me, if the price is right, I probably would let him go. I think the last 2 weeks his behaviour has been really poor, but I think in previous occasions I think his behaviour has been quite exemplary, to be honest with you, as well. But I think it's right for Norwich as well, from a business perspective as well, to try and sell Sargent if his desire is to move away from Norwich, and it clearly is as well. My worry for me is, do I trust Napa and the recruitment team to go and find a good enough replacement? Yeah, I think for me the jury's still out on that as well. So that's also another factor where you're like, oh, like, is it a smart move? But then again, it feels like for me the situation is probably getting past the point now where it's rectifiable, and he's almost, and both parties are almost waiting for a bid to come in as well. So I think it's time for Norwich probably to move on from Josh Sargent, which is very sad to say, really, because it was a player who had such an effect with the fan base, and it was also reciprocated as well from the supporters. So for me, it's a really sad situation how it's all planned out, really. But I'm just so thankful Makama is fine. I mean, otherwise this situation could have been really messy for us.
I couldn't agree more. We undermanning how this situation could have potentially played out. I dare to think. I don't really have that much more to say on the Josh Sargent situation, because I wrote a very long ranty article for MFW. If you haven't read it, I'll whack a link to it in the description. But it basically was just all of my thoughts splurged onto the page. I think in terms of the solution to the situation, it's unfortunately warranting the good behaviour or bad behaviour, I mean, and selling him. I think that is the only way, which is exactly what he wants. And exactly, if you're a player wanting to leave Norwich, you're probably now looking at this and thinking, this is how I do it. Right. Okay, fine. I just need to text the manager and then I'll get exactly what I want. He's already burnt his bridge. He's already in the under-21s, and we've had 2 press conferences for 2 matches with Philippe Clement where he said nothing has changed. The situation remains the same. Josh hasn't come out and publicly apologized or acknowledged anything or tried to say his side of the story or whatever. If you'd like to come on the podcast, Josh, we might consider it. But yeah, we'd have to speak to Gary. In terms of what's the alternative? He apologizes, he stays, he signs some kind of contract extension. Then what? He would then be our 3rd choice striker. We don't want him to replace Makama. Chris Garden is now ahead of him. I don't care. Like, in terms of form, Chris Garden is probably better than him. Then what does he do? Does he just stay until his contract runs out and we just let him go for free? It's kind of a bit like the Nunez situation where Napper's doomed if he does, doomed if he doesn't. He's kind of in a no-win situation where if he sells him, the fans are going to be like, Napper, you fraud, how dare you? And then if he keeps him and we get absolutely nothing for him, it'll be like, oh, great business, Ben, well done. There is no situation where Ben Napper can come out of this well. It's really not kind of his fault. It's kind of just Josh outbursting this on him. I think it's very difficult for him to come back into this team and the fans welcome him with open arms. There are definitely some sections of Carrow Road that would welcome him with open arms. I wouldn't be one of them. I don't think Matty would be one of them either, knowing him. But yeah, I just accept the next bid from Toronto. It's going to be more than $18 million, $20 million. I also find it quite funny, the gall of the MLS fans sort of labeling $18 million as too much for a low-ranking striker. He is worth way more than that, and could have been sold for £20 million in the summer. So this is already a huge downgrade in his value. The MLS fans are quite funny, aren't they? Hi to any MLS fans watching. He's worth a lot more than $20 million, I can tell you that. So yeah, if Toronto magically find a few $1 million just behind the sofa cushions and want to take him on, we wish him all the best. Just you won't be expected to come back to Norfolk with a warm welcome. Yeah, well done, Josh.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that it had to end like this. I think Will put it perfectly in the point of Norwich was so patient with him. You look at his first season in the Premiership, was shoehorned to play out on the right-hand side, didn't have a good season whatsoever, scored 2 in one game against Watford, scored 2 against Bournemouth in the Carabao Cup, and then didn't score again until the next season in the Championship, where he had a good first season there, but he changed up his playing style. He became a bit more physical, a bit stronger, bigger frame to suit the league, and he took it by storm, albeit he had major injuries in the following seasons, but he scored a lot of goals when he was playing. He was arguably the in-form striker in the league when he was playing, but it's just ended in a horrible way. And if he wants to go home, then that is the case. He wants to be back near America and be near his family with his 3 children. Then that is what it is. It's ultimately his agent has obviously been in his ear, and unfortunately, we've seen this before at Norwich. We saw the exact scenario with Jonathan Rowe, and maybe it was a thing there for Sargent, and what you said there, Jack, of players can look at it and think, oh, that's how I do it. Well, Jonathan Rowe did it. It looks like Josh Sargent's going to do it just the season after, which is a shame it has to end that way. The thing I actually find funny about the MLS, to go on a tangent, when a team first, well, not exactly discovers a player, when they want to sign a player, if another team then comes in and signs them, that team has to pay money to the first team that was interested. And that, I despise that, because it happened with Marco Royce when he went to LA Galaxy. It was Chicago Fire who were first interested in signing him. He went to LA Galaxy instead, and Galaxy had to pay Chicago Fire like a finder's fee because they wanted to sign him first. Just, tin pot comes to mind in my head. But Ali Ahmed came from the MLS. He's all right. So swings and roundabouts. But anyway, on to a little bit more nonsense to finish things off. You've heard about how you shouldn't lick batteries and that there's teams have got to pay for discovering a player in American soccer, to use their terminology. But let's go to Jack and his quick fire hot take. So if you're new around here, Jack gives us 5 questions. They're usually crazy and a bit wacky, but maybe they're intelligent this time around. So who knows what he's got in his locker. But anyway, I'll leave it to him. He's got 5 questions for us, and we have to answer them on the spot. We can't really give any reasoning or deliberation.
Exactly. On the slight geographical tangent, my first quickfire hot take, by a coincidence, who is the greatest North American to ever play for Norwich City?
Simeon Jackson.
Oh, great shout.
Oh, mate, do you know, that was, he's literally stole mine there.
Well, you can say him. Who else is there? Zach Whitbread?
Mine was going to be Zach Whitbread.
No, come on. You can't pick Whitbread over Jackson. Think what Jackson did in the Championship.
Yeah. I mean, you could say Cordoba, I guess.
Was Kai Kamara? Or was he?
No,
He's from Sierra Leone,
which is in Africa. But he played. He played in the American League, so he played in the MLS, so I can see it.
Yeah,
he's probably got an American passport, so
that's what that was my train of thought. But I'll go for Simeon Jackson, I think.
Yeah, okay, I can't argue. Well done, Simeon. And I wouldn't actually. I would agree. Like, unironically, I do actually think it's him. This is an interesting one: prime Angus Gunn or prime Vlad?
Has Vlad really had a prime?
Yes. Imagine the best that Vlad can be, the best of Vlad versus the best of Angus.
And prime Angus would be his loan season, probably, or actually no, his 18. No, it's probably the Wagner one, right?
Yeah, probably the year Wagner got in the playoffs. I'd say that's prime Angus Gunn.
Yeah, I'd probably go prime Gunn myself. I
think. Well, if you're saying the very best of both players, I'm picking Vlad. Imagine Vlad with those crazy saves he can make and making them every game and things like that. If he was, if prime Vladan Kovacevic was doing saves like that against Wrexham every single week, you would be thanking your lucky stars he was your goalkeeper.
I don't know where I go with this. I would probably lean to prime Gunny because I think in some games he single-handedly won us games. Completely went off a cliff in his final season, which is very odd. But I hope we see more of prime Vlad. There is obviously more to come from him, but maybe we revisit this one in a couple of years' time. Now, this is slightly complicated one. I'll try and explain it. Which league has produced the best Norwich transfers? As in, which foreign league has reliably been the best scouting league for Norwich City? Where have we got the best players from? I'm very interested to hear what you think.
So can we not pick any English league?
I'm going to say no, just because it's. I'm going to say international league.
Yeah, because I was going to say Holt, Makama, Wes came from like League One at the time, so that I think would have taken it by storm. But internationally,
I mean, I think some of the gems that we got from Bundesliga 2 were just special, weren't they? Like the likes of Mario Vrancic.
Yeah, it's a good shout. It's a very good shout.
Steeps as well, I think, was second division, wasn't he? So,
I think I might have to agree with you there, because I was thinking about the Danish Superliga, and then but Pookie takes obviously was that league, but then you look at everyone, and there's only really who else? Fiskgarden, because of the caliber of player at the time of the signings.
Elmander
potential. Who as well?
Elmander.
Hella Matson came from the Danish league. He's been all right, but no, I think I have to agree with Will there. The German second division, because they brought us some cult heroes,
and just as well, like the value for money as well. Like they were so cheap, ridiculously cheap as well, weren't they?
Yeah, half of them came on a free.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't know if because we didn't technically sign them all from the division. I was sort of thinking SPL. Because I had Gary Hooper in my head.
I don't hate that. And then you also think McLean as well, don't you?
McLean,
yeah,
one.
Yeah.
I was thinking Snodgrass, but we signed him from Leeds, so that didn't count.
I mean,
but he
Alex
started
Neil from a manager perspective, but that's probably more. I think he was Scottish Championship, wasn't he? Anyway, so I don't know if that would actually count, or was he SPL at the time? I don't know, but
Gabriel Forsyth. Forsyth came from. There's apart really from Hooper, I can't think of anyone else who was Scottish Premiership.
Oh, Naismith, Whittaker.
No, he came from Everton, mate. I know he grew up in the Scott. No, he signed from.
Well, no, Naismith came. Whittaker came directly from Rangers. So I don't know. Probably Bundesliga too. That's a great shout. What is the best Hugh Jackman film?
Bloody hell. I'll go with X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I think my childhood self would say The Greatest Showman.
Childhood? That only came out in 2017.
Mate, that's 9
years now, mate.
That is 9 years ago. Yeah, you're
old.
Yeah.
I feel old. Best Hugh Jackman film, Flushed Away.
What a shout. What a shout.
I didn't watch that, you know.
Oh, mate, go watch it. What a fantastic little animation film. Oh, my God. You know, it's funny because I actually watched that last week.
No way.
That actually had like a nutty cast. I'm trying to remember
who Winslet was in it. Ian McKellen was in it.
Yeah, but Ian McKellen was. Yeah, it was a bloody good cast, to be fair.
Yeah. Anyway, Flushed Away, great film. And your final question, which I don't think we've had yet, but it's a good one. Who is your dream MFW podcast guest?
Bloody hell. Basically, who would we want to sit and talk nonsense with for an hour rather than intellectual football?
Jez Moxley.
William.
Oh my word!
No, I think for me, there'd be something so special just going through each game of 18-19 with Mario Vrancic. Just generally, like that'd be absolutely magical. It really would. But I think like most fascinating, obviously, it'd be like the likes of McNally, right? Wouldn't it? But like I think like just pure nostalgia. 18-19 was my best ever season, my favorite ever season, and Mario Vrancic made that season great. And I know when D did and all that kind of thing as well. But he was that like that ignition of flair and excitement. So for me, Mario Vrancic.
You know, for me, it's going to be a really sort of a curveball in there because they got barely any association with Norwich. I would love nothing more than to sit for an hour and talk with Neil Warnock about football. and nonsense. I think he would be brilliant on one of these. The stories and some of the stuff he's come out with over his life. I reckon on this, he would be perfect because he matches the vibe of just going off on a tangent and just telling you these great things that just you wonder how you even got there in the first place. And some of the stories he's come out with about Norwich as well. The most famous one being about he came in for a manager's interview and he sat around the table with all the directors. And they ask him, do you think the fans would like your style of football? And he looks around the room and goes, yeah, I think they'd love to win some games of football. So he didn't get the job, but
I wonder if Jack's going to say Liz Truss.
No, William. No, I was not.
Anyway, Warnock for me.
Great. I'll never shake those accusations. Thank you, Will. My heart was saying Grant Holt. My head is saying Dean Smith. I think if ever I had a conversation with Dean Smith, I think I might just combust. I don't think it's allowed. I don't think I'm actually banned from the city of Charlotte. Dean, I know you watch every episode. Please drop me a DM on your burner account. I know you like every tweet as well. But that's all the quickfire hot takes for today. Very well played, everyone.
Nice one. Well, what's Dean Smith's burner account called?
I don't know. He must surely have a burner account. Surely it's probably something like Dean is great at _ Grealish. I don't know.
Do you remember when I think it was the Birmingham or the Sunderland fans when they tried to catch up Mick Beale on football Twitter as well?
And they caught him as well, didn't they?
Yeah, that was mental. Yeah,
that was interesting. Yeah, I think that was Sunderland. It's funny because obviously Philippe Clement's got like a proper account, hasn't he? And it was like he's obviously put tweets. I wonder if he's got a proper burner as well, and he's just like posting Makama memes or something like that. Just like there's been some really odd ones. If people are familiar with the Bradford City pecked by the chickens, there's been some Makama ones which, if I repeat on here, I might get the channel banned. So just go on Twitter and look at the replies of Wrexham's full-time tweet, and you'll see what I'm on about. But anyway, that's been the latest instalment of the MFW podcast. And if there's one key thing I've learned from here today, and I think you should all take home as well, please don't lick batteries. Just be sensible with them. Be careful with them and take care as you go through the rest of your week. I hope it's a great one. Norwich themselves, some tough games. Will spoke about them earlier. West Brom at the Hawthorns on Tuesday night away from home. Then it's Coventry at home. And there's some harder games coming up not long after that. The rescheduled one with Oxford has been put on a Tuesday night. Cheers for that one, FA Cup. And we're playing West Brom again. How boring. But what wasn't boring was what we've just spoken about. And so, as I say, take care. Leave your batteries alone. Don't put them in your mouth. Put them in your controller. It's goodbye for now. And we'll see you either on Spotify for the next podcast or on YouTube for the next video of ours.